What lessons do you think modern couples can learn from the marriages of their parents and grandparents?
Deeper. Deeper, that's what they say, innit? Deeper. Deeper. Modern couples from learned. I think so. Let's start. And what I'm trying to do now actually is actively lean towards positive. I think one, obviously there are some situations, relationships, and marriages with parents that didn't work out, didn't make it, so divorce and so forth. But there are others that have, and have come like a long way actually. And I think one thing we can look at that is like the resilience. Like they were faced a lot of challenges in the previous time that we don't face. We've got our own challenges that they didn't face, but they were facing a lot of challenges, money pressures, racism, communities feeling isolated, their parents and friends being back home, etc., etc. So I think they faced all these challenges and still were united, still managed to raise kids in a turbulent time, and still managed to remain together. I think that's one thing we can take in terms of growing a sense of resilience, growing a unitedness that can take on anything, any challenge that comes, and embedding that. I think on the other hand, I think especially with kids, I think there can be something with regard to like encouraging the maximizing and actualizing of their potential. So, kind of, for me, I'm not having kids yet, and my view might change, but just trying to embed in them certain principles, hard work, dedication, so that whatever their mind takes into, like dreams or goals and so forth, they can give it their all, because at the other end of giving it their all, maybe it doesn't work out, but they can pivot and move certain mindsets and approaches. If you apply yourself to something, like you can become really good at it and become quite great at it. So I think those sorts of things, and kind of giving a space if I go into certain details, but like just like chasing sports or certain dreams and goals and visions, like encouraging them. To be fair, my parents have supported mine as well in certain situations. In others, maybe not so much, but I think just trying to be that encouragement in that sense. My parents definitely embedded and instilled in me kind of putting God first as a whole, and we're very strong about that, and I've taken that on board, and it's been a really key girding principle for me. So yeah, I'd say those 2 points. What about you?
I think I would say probably this. It might be resilience, but yeah, resilience and commitment. So I think our generation now kind of sees marriage as more disposable than maybe our parents or grandparents' generation, rightly or wrongly. In that, like, obviously there are marriages that you should run for the hills from, in truth. But yeah, I think that there was a larger leaning to solving issues and getting through issues and still, working together. Like, one thing I would say is now that I'm married, I look at my mum a lot differently than as a married woman, as opposed to just my mum. So seeing how she does things in certain situations, how she moves, committed she is to my dad, how committed she is to, the family, and that being her base and her being a woman of faith. I think there are real behaviours in her that honestly make life easier for me to a degree because I have that example. So I think, yeah, for me, what I've realised is that it is even important to stay committed in your marriage, because then, and be a good spouse, because you're leaving unknowingly an example for your children, that they're gonna experience what a marriage is like without being in one, just from observing their parents and saying, okay, like, what do I want? And so realizing how closely I unknowingly watched what my mum did, and how even more closely I'm watching her actively now, as she engages with my dad. I think that has left with me a real impression of how important it is to be a good spouse and to commit to the longevity of that relationship, because you know, you've got people watching you. So I think, yeah, like being committed and just being a great example. Obviously, not everyone is fortunate enough to, you know, either have their parents still around or have had parents who have been that example for them. But yeah, that's what I would say.